Started. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of the Zyori Breakdown. Here in episode number 10, we're going to be looking at a really interesting replay. Now, it's one that we got to cast on the Hancast channel, but yesterday, or maybe the day before that, and it was an interesting matchup for a couple of reasons. So the first thing that jumped out at us about this game is it's actually a 4-strength hero lineup. And we've been talking a lot recently about this current strength meta on the Hancast podcast. Dog Kaiser used that kind of buzz term quite a bit. The strength meta, you can't play Behemoth in a strength meta. Something that's been tossed around a lot recently. So we're going to kind of look at what that really means. What does it mean to be in a strength meta right now? And there must be some truth to it, given that this particular lineup we're going to look at did work very nicely. So in this game, one of the teams, the actual victor in the match we're going to look at is indeed BxF, one of the newer teams on the scene. They do have a community website attached with that I'm sure most of you have heard of by now. If you haven't, go over to BxF and check it out. So what's really cool about this episode, though, is we have another guest. We had Z-Freak on last week, and now we're going to have BxF Khezu. He is indeed the drafter for the BxF team, so he's going to kind of give us some insight here, and then we're just going to go through the replay. That's going to be all she wrote today. Just going to be one quick game with yet another guest. So, of course, I'm Zyori, your host. You can check out all of the good ZyoriTV stuff at ZyoriTV. It's where the VODs are, and all of that social media, Facebook and Twitter /ZyoriTV. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. I believe we have Khezu on the line. Mr. Khezu, how you feeling, my man?
I'm feeling great, man. Being ready for this.
Glad to hear it. I know it's pretty cool. So before we get super into the replay, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about it. I just want to kind of talk to you a little bit. I mean, how's the new team working out? BxF being a relatively newer team, now that the website's finally launched. I know you were trying out, or one of the tryouts on the Fnatic raid call team. Just lay it on us, man. How are things going?
Things been going quite good. Like the last month I was to try out for Fnatic, but that didn't quite work out.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to take Era over me because he has more experience, and I guess he's also above me skill level wise, so that didn't quite work out.
Mm-hmm.
Then a few weeks after that didn't work out, I got asked by Peter Pandam to try out for his team, but I didn't really like the atmosphere, so I started my own team with my old friends, BxF right now,
mm-hmm.
and it's been going quite good lately. We've been on quite some winning streak.
Yeah, I mean, the last few games that I've been able to cast with you guys have been looking pretty good. You're kind of getting into a groove. And you mentioned with your friends, so have you guys all been kind of playing together pretty recently, or is there like a core 3, then you added on a few more, or you guys all have a pretty long history together?
McDonald, Insania, and me, we've been playing together for, let's say, I think around 1.5 years, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And the other two, no, actually 3, which is Bazai, Zapman, and Les QQ.
Mm-hmm.
They are friends of Insania, and he said they were quite good. So we're like trying out so far. So we're a 6-man roster.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to make it a 5-man roster quite soon.
Yeah, that's definitely some value in just narrowing it down to those 5, so you have that core group. But that's pretty cool. I'm glad to hear it. Can you give us maybe a little bit of insight about exactly what BxF is, what the website plans to do, exactly what you guys are trying to accomplish to the organization? Obviously, you guys have a team, but are you guys going to start putting on tournaments in the near future? Anything interesting you want to talk about?
As far as I know, it's pretty new, and they're trying to get some sponsors in there. And also in the future, they're going to try to get some tournaments going with cash or gold coins, pretty much both, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to try to represent the clan and get a sponsor as good as possible and try and get something rolling in there.
Very cool. Very awesome. And one of the last things I want to ask you about, which I think will transition very nicely into the replay, is how did you become the drafter for the team? Has that always just sort of been your forte? Are you just a natural-born Han drafter? Or was it maybe just a case of no one else wanted to do it? Or is it really just a team effort and you're the guy clicking the buttons?
No. Back in the day when I played with Insania and McDonald, like 1.5 years ago in a clan called DMSN,
mm-hmm.
I was the drafter back then, and ever since when I played with any team where I played with Insania, I've been the drafter. So that's kind of the reason why.
I see. Makes sense. Makes sense indeed. And how do you guys go about the drafting? I mean, is it mostly you with some team input, or are you guys... I mean, I know some teams, they sort of have a drafter and he kind of does most of it. Or are you guys more of kind of a team-based drafting where you all kind of communicate and put input, or is it or is it all on you?
I take suggestions, but let's say I have the higher vote. Like if I say pick this, then we pick it, but I also take input from the team.
I see. Very cool. So unless there's something else you want to add here before we get into it, I think it's time to take a look at this replay and look at the drafting phase here in this match.
No, I think that sums it up.
All right. So are you loaded up in the replay? You ready to go? Are you at the negative 596 mark or whatever it's called here?
Yep.
All right. Let me kill
exactly that one.
Yeah, that's the spirit, man. All righty. So yeah, let's go ahead and do a countdown here. We'll press play in 3. Actually, let me go D&D ZyoriTV because I know people are going to start spamming me. And so we'll go ahead and press play here in 3, 2, 1, go. And there we are. So again, guys, normally we don't put a lot of emphasis on the picking phase, but in this particular breakdown, we're going to spend a lot of time looking at this. And I think we're pretty much just going to watch the picking phase in normal motion so we can see who does what. And hopefully you can give us some insight not only about the heroes you pick in this particular game, but just sort of drafting in general. This is really the first breakdown we've sat and brought in a drafter and talked about it in any kind of grave detail. So I guess first step is, obviously you guys didn't have the first ban here. So what's your thought process? I mean, what are your go-to heroes in these first couple of bans?
When you don't have first pick, what I usually go for are the really strong heroes, like let's say Jeremiah, or if you go up against a team where someone's known for playing this certain hero, like really strong heroes like Zephyr, Tempest, or Torturer even, you want to get all those heroes out which are really strong, or which you do just not want to face. But also if you have second pick, what you can do is you just don't ban the good heroes, but you ban like the semi-good heroes. So you give them one good hero, and you get 2 of the good ones yourself as well.
I see. That makes perfect sense. Now, in this situation, I mean, are you too familiar with this Legion team? From what I was told, Ekaro Gaming is actually limp from Team Han Portal. Can you confirm / deny? That's definitely true?
Yes, it is.
All right, so you heard it here. That is indeed limp. So are there any respect bans going out in this game, or is this purely just banning scary heroes?
The Zephyr is, I guess, a respect ban towards limp, since Portal is pretty much known for running Zephyr every game.
And they have a player named Zephyr, so easy Zephyr.
Pretty much, yeah.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
and
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, from their side, I guess the Pebble, Slither, and Tempest are kind of respect bans towards us. For sure, the Slither and Tempest, because Insania plays Insane Tempest, and LessQQ played Slither the last couple of games for us.
I see. And that was actually going to be the next thing I wanted to ask you about is what do you make of this Slither ban? And on top of that, I mean, is Slither a worthwhile ban, or do you think that's kind of a silly thing to do given some of the other heroes on the board?
I think the hero is pretty strong right now. I'm not sure if he's ban-worthy. Maybe if you have some strategy in mind, but I don't think so. I don't think he's ban-worthy.
I mean, one of the things that Breaky and I were talking about, purely theory crafting, is, you know, since we're in a tank meta, and especially in this game, since you guys are going to pick a very strength-intensive lineup, I mean, do you think Slither has a little bit more of a strong role, given that he's banned that toxicity? I mean, is so strong against any hero with a huge amount of regeneration, i.e. most strength heroes. So, I mean, did Slither being banned influence the decision for you guys to pick up 4 strength heroes in this, or was that just sort of something totally unrelated?
No, not at all. Didn't influence whatsoever.
I see. Okay, very, very interesting. I mean, do you see the potential counter there? I mean, is there some merit to that theory crafting that Breaky and I were up to, or is that just a whole bunch of hot air?
I think there's, yeah, he can be a slight counter, but not completely.
I see. Makes sense. So, obviously, I mean, just sort of tell us what you're thinking right now. You guys picked up the Plague Rider Cthulhuphant, given the 3 picks that they have now, the Kraken, Tempest, or, pardon me, Glacius, and Torturer. Were you guys planning on running a super strength-intensive lineup, or did it just sort of unfold as you saw their picks coming?
I kind of wanted them to pick Torture so we could get Plague and Cthulhuphant. Or as I stated earlier, I wanted to get 2 of those 3 heroes. And as it turned out that we got Cthulhuphant and Plague Rider, we already had one tanky hero and a support hero being Plague Rider, who's really good in team fights and like provides armor for the team.
Right.
And I was planning on running a jungler. And as I saw that we have Plague giving the armor, I thought Keeper wouldn't be too bad, giving the additional armor and pushing power. So I was thinking that we would just go with a tanky lineup and like stack up the armor and try to push them down early.
Makes sense. And why? Where's the correlation between what you were just talking about and Torture? You mentioned we were hoping they would take the Torturer pick. Was it just simply so that you could get those two heroes that you really wanted, or is there some sort of counter against Torturer going on here?
Yeah, the most important thing was that I wanted to get those two heroes. But then again, versus push, Torture isn't too bad against push, but let's say you have the Keeper Dogs at the tower and Torture wants to push them back. He will have to go quite further to use his spells, and if he gets engaged on, then he's just nothing. He'll just drop like paper.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out as well. We're getting closer to the end of the picking phase here, and one of the last things, I think one of the most interesting things about this lineup is bringing in the Meraxes. So talk to us about Meraxes a little bit. We've been seeing him a little bit more frequently. Over the past week or so, I've seen him picked up more than I have in the past month. So talk to us about Meraxes a little bit. I mean, what's his role? Is he really that damn good? Should we start banning him? What are your thoughts?
I remember when he first came out, I used to play him all the time because I thought he was pretty sick. And since I'm the drafter of this team again, and Les QQ told me he loves the hero, we gave him a try like a month ago, and we kind of figured out that he's really damn strong. But I think the hero is a better dual laner than a solo, unless he's matched up versus a hero which doesn't have any stuns, because he has those slows and stuns himself.
Right.
And I don't think he's a ban-worthy hero, but he is really damn strong. He has that initiator tanky role.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely... I mean, if you look at his abilities, he just has everything a good initiator needs. He has that AoE stun, that stacking slow, that ultimate to give him that added survivability, and even the arcane shield works so well as a counter initiation, not only adding the armor, but giving him that buff if he ends up taking the damage. So it forces the other team to make the executive decision, all right, do we either focus Meraxes and lock him down, or do we just totally ignore him and not proc that arcane shield? And you sort of have to make an on-the-fly decision, which is... not always the easiest thing to do. Do you think Meraxes might be kind of like what we saw Cthulhu do, totally ignored 100%, and then all of a sudden one team starts playing him a lot with some degree of success, and then all of a sudden there's this explosion of Cthulhu? It's like we discovered a new hero that hasn't received any kind of balance at all recently, and everyone discovered that he's actually really good. Do you think Meraxes might start doing that as well, as far as more people working him into their lineups?
Yeah, he might, but I don't think it's going to be as heavily as with Cthulhu, because he's been picked up by every team. I don't think that's going to happen with Meraxes.
I see, definitely. And I guess the last thought here is why Armadon as your last pickup? Given you already had so many tank heroes, why Armadon?
I wanted some more AoE physical damage and a solo who is not going to die versus the Forsaken Monarch lane, because I was pretty sure that they were going to lane Kraken, Glacius, and Forsaken Monarch. And I've played Armadon before versus the exact same lane, being Forsaken Monarch, and I managed not to die versus that because Armadon is just pretty tanky.
I see. Definitely. I mean, yeah, I think if I recall this game properly, I believe you do end up doing pretty well against the Monarch Glacius lane, so you're definitely right. As far as the requirements you described, Armadon fits that role just about to a T. The huge AoE physical damage, can survive that. Well, I guess it's not quite the suicide lane for you. It is going to be kind of a close lane. So pretty interesting. So, I mean, what are you thinking now at this point, given that we have both teams picked, you see what the Legion team has, are you feeling pretty good? I mean, is this a situation where you guys on your Skype call are like, oh, this is going to be a free win, man. We outpicked them so hard. Are you guys a little bit scared of their picks? Are you scared of their lanes? I mean, what are your initial reactions given your lineup compared to theirs?
I was quite happy when I saw their picks and ours, because we were going for an early push lineup. And especially after I saw it later in the game, where Forsaken Archer went for the Whispering Helm, I was 90% sure that the game was over. So pretty much I think they lacked counter push because they only had the Torture and maybe the Monarch, the AoE slow. And they had like no burst.
Yeah, definitely.
And we had like so much armor and HP.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that during the cast we just kept saying over and over. The armor of this Hellborn team is absolutely insane. Meraxes, we talked about with that Arcane Shield, has a naturally high armor base. You have the huge armor buffs from both Keeper and Plague Rider, adding a total of additional 20 armor to anyone on the team and multiple people on the team. I mean, Cthulhu very tanky as well. And Armadon, although, you know, he has pretty high base armor, but that Armadillo adding so much in the way of survivability. So what's the counter to this lineup? I mean, obviously, one of the things that was hotly debated in chat during that cast was I made a comment saying, well, at this point, I don't think a shield breaker is going to do a hell of a lot because, you know, it's sort of a, I don't think exponential growth is the right word, but I can picture the graph in my head of armor reduction. And there comes a point where -6 armor against someone who has 30 armor just doesn't really do a hell of a lot, and certainly not nearly as much compared to someone who only has 5 armor or 10 armor or something. You know, the higher base armor you have, the less effective shield breaker is. I guess, first of all, is that logic right? Because it seemed in chat there were a lot of arguments back and forth. I'd be curious to see where you stand on that argument.
I think you're right. I don't think it's gonna matter much, like the minus armor. Like, you just have so much that it doesn't matter if you reduce it by 6 or 5 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not quite sure myself what counters it. And I can't say too much, because obviously I don't want to counter it when we do it again.
I see. Yeah, well, that was going to be kind of my next question. What is the counter for this? I mean, do you know and you just don't want to say, or are you guys still not really sure exactly what the absolute hard counter to a lineup like this is?
I know the kind of exact counter, but what you also could do is try to play on the lanes. Mm-hmm. Seeing as you have like this one jungler being keeper, mm-hmm. and he like just can't gank, so you pretty much have 2 solo lanes.
Yep.
Being as we have Armadon and Axis. So you could try and roam around those 2 lanes and just shut them down completely. Mm-hmm. That would be one way to handle this.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And one of the things that we were talking about in the cast as far as item choices as this game goes on is maybe even seeing a Harken's Blade come out for some of that magic damage. Obviously, magic damage not being mitigated by physical armor. Have you thought about that? I mean, do you think we could potentially see a resurgence of Harkon's Blade if this super tank-oriented style starts to take off a little bit?
Harkon's Blade seems interesting.
Ah, there we go. Now the Han brain is, the gears are spinning inside the head of Khezu here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harkon's Blade, yeah, seems quite interesting.
It would be. I mean, it would be an interesting pickup. And the next question is, of course, who's going to pick it up? You know, is Forsaken Archer going to be the one to pick up a Harkon's Blade? That seems very, very strange indeed. So,
yeah.
You know, we're going to see a Bloodless kill in the bottom. Again, guys, the point of this game was already casted, so if you want to see the VOD of the play-by-play cast with Breaky and myself, it's on Honcast. You can check it out. We're not really going to be casting this game as far as just looking at decision-making, especially from the Black Fade perspective. So we're going to skip kills here and there over the map. Really not too concerned about it. We really just want to kind of look at the team fights in particular and just the sort of mentality. The goal of this is for you to tell us what you guys are thinking. You know, what are you guys talking about on TeamSpeak or Skype or whatever it is that you use? You know, at what point are you guys nervous? At what point are you guys feeling really good? I guess, I don't know, tell us about these lanes a little bit. Are any of these lanes particularly scary for you guys? I mean, you mentioned Solo Meraxis can be a little bit rough. You know, are any of these lanes particularly rough for your team?
I think our lane, our dual lane with Elephant and Plague is stronger than Crag and Glacius. I've played it before, lots of times, and I usually won that lane. So I give us the favor in that one. In the mid lane, having Axis versus Torture, I'll give the advantage to Torture by a little bit. And then our top lane, Armadon versus the dual lane, obviously the dual lane has the advantage. But then we also have the jungler, and we knew we did not need to win the lanes. We just needed the levels. At least in the solo lanes. Exactly right,
definitely. And I guess I'm kind of curious as well, why did you guys opt for Keeper? You know, you mentioned you wanted someone with pushing power, you wanted a jungler. Why Keeper over Ophelia? Because she sort of fits similar parameters in that regard.
First of all, we needed some team fight potential as well. So Keeper ulti fits quite good.
Yep.
And then we also, I thought we lacked escapes, as we only had the Armadon with charge out, for example. So the invis isn't that bad, and then having the plus armor on top and the 3 dogs is pretty huge.
Now that's an interesting thing that we didn't touch on. The idea of our team has minimal escape mechanisms, so Keeper with that invisibility buff kind of gives everyone on our team an escape mechanism, sort of adding to that synergy. That's pretty crafty. Those are the little things that you experienced drafters think of, that those of us unexperienced drafters are just sort of oblivious to.
Happens.
No, that is really really interesting, really key. One of the things you mentioned as well. One way to sort of counter this strategy is to take advantage of the 2 solo lanes, obviously with Keeper in the jungle, and also realizing that Keeper is pretty useless until level 6. He can't really gank effectively. He's really not too scary, all things considered, especially considering some of the other junglers like a Parasite or something. We did see Monarch roam around in the mid lane, not really too effectively. You want to kind of talk about that a little bit? I mean, maybe what could this Legion team be doing right now that would be a little bit more effective than how they're starting off this game? And we can glance at the farm here. We see Forsaken Archer and Kraken both farming very nicely, but as is Cthulhuphant as well as Meraxes. Obviously, you're not farming so well up here, but in the 2v1, survival comes first, so no big surprise. But what are your thoughts right now? Is either team making a big mistake? Would you like to see this Legion team do something different, or maybe your team do something different now that you can see it in retrospect?
What the Legion team could possibly do is move the Monarch down bottom and have a trial lane for a bit and try to get 1 or 2 kills onto the Plague Rider or Elephant, so they could get the lane advantage. And then move him as a roamer up top and mid again. Because up top they can't really kill an Armadon. And Forsaken is pretty good herself versus me, due to the advantage. But then, I don't think they could have done much different.
Yeah, and it's sort of interesting how that ends up working out. And I guess along the same lines, I mean, what are you guys afraid of right now? As a team, what are you guys really hoping that they don't do? I mean, what if they decided to engage Operation Pub Train and just roam as 5 and just try and gank every lane? I mean, is that something that's scary for you guys? Is there anything that in the back of your mind you're like, I really hope they don't do X right now?
That's a tough question. I didn't think about it, but probably a pub train wouldn't have been too bad from them either, when they had level 6 on FA, Kraken, and a few levels on their supports. But then again, if they 5-manned us, and we had levels as well, we would have probably killed them ourselves, so I'm not quite sure. I don't think there was anything scaring us.
It's an interesting thought, if you're not scared of anything, then this is a really scary lineup. And one of the things that once we're all is said and done after we get through this entire replay is I want to be able to distill a little bit of information, some sort of a takeaway that we can say, all right, well, this is what we learned. We learned that agility heroes are useless, or something, and most importantly, how do we stop lineups like this that are just so tanky and so scary? That's really kind of what I want to do as far as a takeaway here. So now we see Keeper is in the aggressive jungle. He's hit level 6. Now that he's level 6, obviously there will be some more aggressive Keeper action down here in the bottom lane. I believe you guys pick up a kill onto Kraken. Indeed, right? Smack Donald does grab that kill. But here in the mid, Torture is actually going to be in some big trouble. Keeper's going to come in, use that ultimate. Merax is going to drop a stun. And this ends up being an interesting play in the mid lane here. Keeper comes in with a surround, and Forsaken Archer ports in. Of all the people, Forsaken kind of ports in, runs forward, totally whiffs the volley, and then just kind of gets stun locked and killed. I don't really know what the logic was there for good old Rape there playing Forsaken Archer, and Monarch comes in as well and doesn't do a hell of a lot. So at this point, I mean, those are some pretty big kills. You've now won the mid lane, you've taken out Torture and Meraxes with a double tap, you now picked up a kill onto Monarch. I mean, a hat trick for your Meraxes. What are you guys thinking now? Was that just small plays from the other team, or were those secretly big Black Fade plays coming out right there?
I think there was big miscommunication from the Legion team. First of all, FA shouldn't be the one to part in. And then dying on top of that is that really hurts them. Yeah. And then Monarch as well, giving a hat trick to our Meraxes, that is fucking huge for us. That experience and gold is really big.
Exactly. Definitely. So, I mean, now at this point, you guys have a nice little lead. What's your next step now? Are you thinking, well, now we can afford to be a little bit more defensive, we can sit back and farm for the next couple of minutes? Or are you guys thinking, well, now that we're ahead, let's just stay aggressive. Now that we're ahead, we're going to get more ahead and keep pushing? I mean, what's the sort of next step? We see Meraxes getting maybe a little hyper-aggressive here. He does have his ultimate turned on, and this ends up being sort of an interesting team fight, or a little fight here. Unfortunately, Keeper can't get that Nature's Veil off. So Les QQ gets taken out, but generally speaking for the team, once you're ahead like that, where does the mindset naturally go? Well, great, now we can be more defensive, or great, now we have some breathing room and we can be extra aggressive?
My thinking was we should definitely push now.
I see. So
I wanted to pick up some HP first, which I'm gonna do when I get my next 40 gold, which is the Beast Heart. And then I wanted to like slowly group up and take down the towers.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I mean, I would sort of agree with you, especially with this lineup. And that's another thing that we haven't really talked about that we can move into a little bit here is the idea of a timer. You know, I always talk about the idea of an expected advantage versus a genuine advantage. If you have a team that's all about pushing, they need to win by that 25-minute mark. You know, you look 10 minutes in and they're up by a couple thousand gold. That's kind of an expected advantage. You know, they should be ahead at that point. If they're not ahead at that point, chances are they're not going to be ahead much in that game whatsoever. So what's the timer like in this game? I mean, at some point, I think it's safe to say Forsaken Archer will eventually outcarry your team. At some point. What's the time frame for that? I mean, you guys thinking if they can drag this game out for like 60 minutes, maybe Forsaken Archer is going to become a serious threat? I mean, what are you guys thinking as far as a timetable?
About the timetable, I don't like these questions because it's always a matter of farm and team play till how long the time window is open for one or the other team. Because we didn't have that bad of a late game team even, because we had like 4 tanky heroes and that would be pretty hard for FA to like shoot through them. But I guess if Forsaken Archer had the farm, she had the whole game for let's say 50, if not 60 minutes, they would have won for sure. I
see. So that's actually a good way to think about it, though. There isn't really, I guess, a true expected or genuine advantage. It just comes down to the big plays and small plays from each team as far as when you need to win or when you know, whatever, when you should be very disadvantaged in the games. That's sort of an interesting way to think about it as well. You guys are still in a pretty good position. Unfortunately, Insania going to be in kind of an awkward position there as well, and he's going to get... he's going to get taken out. So, yeah, you know, we see that first tower finally pushed. It's a 1-for-1 tower exchange. That little advantage you guys had is still present. You're up by 1 kill. You're still in pretty good shape. Again, I mean, has anything really changed in the mindset of you guys as a team overall? You know, you said at this point we want to start pushing. Is that even more so now? Maybe less so?
No, it's still the same. We still want to push. But about the top lane, it's always been pushed in by some guy, either gets Forsaken Archer or whoever was up there. So always had to push the lane out first, so they couldn't get a counter push while we 5-man one lane and get that one pushed up.
I see. I see indeed. We'll see Glacius go ahead and catch Plague Rider here as well. So if you want, well, it looks like we're going to have a little team fight come up here. So after next lull in the action, we go ahead and go on ×2 for a little bit here just to get more of an overtone of this game instead of moving into specific play-by-play. But this little team fight, if I recall properly, does actually kind of go in favor of the Legion team a bit here. At least Forsaken Archer does get a nice ultimate off up on the high ground. And actually, all in all, a 1-for-2 exchange. So I guess it could be a little bit worse. Kraken with the unbelievably bold move to try and port out on the high ground there. And
yeah, not sure why he did that.
Unfortunately, you guys don't punish him enough, though. You let him survive.
Yeah, we didn't have enough vision. We were kind of scared.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, that's a nice thing to bring up now. I mean, you guys actually have an okay amount of vision compared to the Legion team, at least. Looking at the ward situation down here, you have some wards on the bottom lane, and you have a ward of sight up here on the top rune, as well as a ward of rev. And the Legion team with absolutely no wards up, which is a little bit astonishing as well. In this lineup, is it safe to say that Plague Rider is kind of just playing ward bitch style? He's kind of the only one on ward duty, or do you guys have that kind of team mentality when it comes to wards where everybody chips in?
It mostly depends on the heroes. Like right now we have the Plague Rider. But let's say Plague Rider is close to finishing something, like an Astrolabe or Tablet. Then let's say a hero like Keeper will help him out for the minutes he needs to farm his own item.
Yeah, I see. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, I see. I mean, that makes perfect sense. But in this situation, Plague Rider is kind of on ward duty, I guess you could say.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. Perfect. So, you know, you're going to go ahead and push this tower. Give me some insight about this particular ward right here, throwing it down in the lane. Why exactly is that? Obviously, it doesn't really play a huge role here. The Legion team doesn't even check this tower. They let it fall. So this sort of ends up being a wasted ward, at least at first glance of what it would seem. Can you talk to us about that lane ward a little bit, especially at this point in the game when there's really no one on the Legion team in the general vicinity?
Yeah, I think we placed that ward before we went to push the tower.
Oh, okay.
I usually like those wards because sometimes people are like in the base from the opponent team and then they TP in. And in case somebody would have TP'd, we could have just dropped that guy instantly. Like we could have collapsed on him.
Ah, okay, I see.
And that's pretty much the goal of the ward. Didn't work out, but usually it does.
Sort of a gamble, you know, if they poured in, it's a kill. If not, then, well, we just wasted 100 gold, no big deal. So
exactly.
it's sort of a positive expected value, even if it doesn't always work out right in your favor. But this team fight here, wow. I mean, you guys just kind of steamroll your way to victory in this fight, even diving the tower. What happened? Why did you... I mean, what is this Legion team doing wrong right now? This is actually... We can go ahead and pause it here for just a second. I'm at 15:31 on the in-game timer. So, but, you know, at this point when Breaky and I were casting, we're both just kind of like, huh. So the Legion team, were kind of there for a team fight. They didn't pour it in willy-nilly. They didn't make any huge mistakes. You know, that wasn't like torture or suicided to start off the team fight or something. But they got steamrolled, and you guys kind of dove a second-tier tower. What happened? I mean, why? What did they do anything wrong? What could they have done better? Should they have just sacrificed this tower? I mean, what are your impressions of that team fight?
I'm taking the team fight myself right now, and what happens is the Monarch uses his silence on Moraxus, ending up in an absorption of his shield. So we basically rushed them, and their positioning was really off. Like, they stacked up pretty hard. Where the Plague Rider ulti... Like, it kind of bounced on Glacius, Monarch, and Torture for the whole fight.
Oh, yeah.
And then with the armor, we just dive the tower. It didn't hurt us at all.
Yeah,
and we have so many slows, so that when we have space, we can chase them forever.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually another really important thing to point out that I think we caught in the cast, but I actually didn't mention right there, was that Plague Rider ultimate was absolutely huge. Like you said, it just bounced. I think it caught every single bounce on a hero, mostly between the Torture and Glacius. So that was a really huge bit of damage output. And what's also interesting to note as well, if you take a look at that hero damage graph, you guys are actually pretty far behind as far as total hero damage done. If you look at the percentages, it's a little bit scary, but they're still not able to finish you guys off. And I guess that just speaks to the superpower it is with all these armor buffs.
Yeah, it's because we have so much HP. They just need to do way more damage than we have to do.
Yeah.
To like have the same amount of impact.
Exactly. So again, at this point, are you guys thinking like, all right, like, you know, high fives, that was an epic fight for us, or was it a little bit more of that mindset of, well, you know, small plays from them, like obviously you're still feeling good, you got the tower, you won the team fight, but overall, would you say small plays from the other team or big plays from your team?
A bit of both. It was small plays from them, but also quite the kind of big plays from us. Yeah, I don't know. We took the opportunity on them mispositioning, so I guess. I
see here as well. So again, at this point, you know, trying to tie it all together with strength meta. Without Plague Rider, I guess the two things that really are making this work well are those armor buffs. You know, you mentioned Keeper of the Forest, we talked about quite a bit, and also Plague Rider with that Cursed Shield, who, by the way, Plague Rider does not have Cursed Shield yet. So right now it's only the Keeper of the Forest buff, which Nature's Veil is indeed level 4, so that's 12 armor, 4 regen. I mean, that is pretty huge in and of itself. But with this lineup, I mean, without those armor buffs, do you think this lineup would work? I mean, swap out Keeper of the Forest maybe for an Ophelia and make Plague Rider another one of these tanky strength heroes, maybe a Kraken or something. Do you think this roster would have that same effect, or is it truly just because of the armor buffs that synergize so well to make it work?
I think it could work, but the armor buffs just make it so much more, like, just even more insane than it is without it. So I think it could work, but it just makes it playing better if you have, like, Keeper and Plague combined.
Yeah. That's definitely true. And I mean, along the same lines, you think if this Legion team picked a much more burst-intensive lineup, it would have been a little bit more difficult for you guys? Like, I mean, maybe even just for one of these supports, instead of a Glacius, picking up a Witch Slayer just for some of that huge burst to try and take these guys down. I mean, have you guys put any thought into maybe a Soul Reaper that would counter this at all? Do you see that as a viable choice or not so much?
I remember before I left my main clan, which was DMSN, like a few months ago. Sorry, we played Soul Reaper at the end, like in every scrim, and I think he's a really good hero and viable. I also had an interview the other day, like last week, with Collabs. We did that for Go-To Gamers, and I also mentioned there that I think Zoripa's gonna be an up-and-coming pick.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he's really good. Like, he's just not gonna die because he's tanky himself. He has heals, his ulti is insane, and his aura wrecks through strength heroes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the aura as well as that ultimate just works so well. Like you said, against strength heroes in a strength meta. I mean, maybe that's something that this Legion team needed to consider. Seeing all these strength heroes going, obviously Kraken going to be in a bit of a sticky situation up there for another kind of easy kill for you guys. So again, just to kind of keep us informed, up to date, you guys have 3 towers down. The Legion team has just 1 tier 1 tower up here in the top lane. What are you guys thinking? Give us some of that insight. I mean, what are you guys saying on the voice chat? What's the overall feel of the team right now? Are you guys feeling like you need to rush? Are you feeling pretty relaxed? What are you guys thinking?
We're feeling quite confident, especially as I mentioned earlier, like the lifesteal pick on Forsaken Archer.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see it. I don't know why you would do it. Because first of all, he needs damage. And second of all, if he goes for lifesteal, he won't get any lifesteal return because we have like 40 armor or 30 even. He deals no damage at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we are feeling quite confident having a lead and experience, and also, in my opinion, the better heroes. So we're feeling quite good.
Yeah, and I'm actually really glad to hear you say that about that item pickup on Forsaken Archer, because that was something that we questioned during the cast. Like, is this really the best way to go for Archer? What would you have liked to see? I mean, we talked about why Shieldbreaker might not necessarily be a super effective choice in this, but as far as just a heavy damage item, I mean, what would have been kind of a scarier item choice for Forsaken Archer?
I guess a Geometer's Bane first, and then a super damage heavy item. Like, I don't know, I guess a Savage Mace, even.
Because, I mean, keep in mind, Forsaken Archer is still farming very nicely. If you pull up that GPM tab, I mean, she's the second farmer in the game, holding about 370 GPM. She's in pretty damn good shape. So, all things considered, she could be farming fairly nicely, working towards those items. I mean, do you think it would have been a different game had she gone for those item choices that you're talking about now?
If I would be in the game right now at the 20-minute mark, if he went for Firebrand, I would have thought myself it could have been different, but after the game, no, I don't think it would have made a difference.
I see. That's a good way to put it, actually. So yeah, and again, like what I like about this lineup that you guys have, 4 strength heroes aside, is that you sort of just have a very well-rounded team. Your lanes were good. You have a lot of pushing power. You have obviously a lot of survivability, but you also have that magic damage. That Plague Rider ultimate has been huge and will continue to be huge as this game goes on. As you see, you guys take out the triple stacked ancients here, and that is just so BM. You guys jack some of that farm and actually do a bit of a counter engage here, and I guess we'll kind of take a look at this team fight. And I actually can't recall exactly which way this one goes, but again, Plague Rider getting that ultimate off when no creeps are around is huge. Keeper of the Forest able to ult as well. Actually, pretty much everybody gets their ults off here. I guess Forsaken Archer doesn't get focused down though, and I think this actually may be a team fight where Forsaken Archer is the only one to survive unscathed. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I believe that is the case. So you guys pick up 4 heroes in exchange for just a humble Armadon. So again, I guess I'm going to go ahead and run it back for this team fight. What happened here? Let's see how it actually began. Obviously, you guys took out the Ancients, but where does the initiation actually occur? Which team gets the pick? And I think it actually starts with you going in and dropping a couple of those Snot Storms on a Forsaken Archer, spamming a few Spines, and then just follow up by the rest of your team.
Yeah, I was thinking that we would easily win the team fight as we did, because I was pretty sure we had the lead. So I charged in and just sorry, try to get the attention on me, which kind of worked. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, of all the heroes to focus from your perspective, Armadon is definitely the one for that added DPS. Do you think, again, was that Plague Rider ultimate really a pivotal point of your success, given there were no creeps around? It took only hero bounces. I think it took at least 3 bounces there. Without the Plague Rider ultimate, would you guys have still won that fight so handily, do you think?
I think so, but it helped for sure.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So what's the contributing factor, or the primary factor, I guess, for this team fight? Is it just because you guys are so tanky at this point? Is it just because this golden experience differential here has you guys tilted to the point where they can't beat you in a straight up team fight and they need to resort to some guerrilla warfare? Or was it all because of that brilliant engage you had on Armadon? What was the source of your success there in that fight?
We have the AoE damage, we have the tankiness, and we also have the fact that they went on me while I'm being the most tanky hero in the game right now. So they kind of waste all they need for the other heroes only on an Armadon, while the others like Keeper, Plague, and Cthulhu and Axis dish out AoE damage. So I'm kind of sure that's the factor.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with that. Like you said, they were able to kill you, but then after that, the rest of your team was alive, and they pretty much had nothing left. One of the other things I want to bring up now that I just remembered that I meant to ask earlier on, and I totally forgot about because we were talking about other things. Earlier on, we saw Torturer actually level Impalement very slowly. He went level 4 Agonizing Bonds, level 4 Chain Reaction, and didn't get Impalement until level 9. Do you have any thoughts about that? Given how many melee heroes are on your lineup, being the Hellborn team, my first thought would be, sure, we're going to see Impalements leveled up immediately because melee heroes, you're going to be in range, and that's the whole deal with Impalement. You have to be close to make it super effective. Any thoughts about that with Torture? Do you think that's a fault or just a personal preference kind of a thing? Maybe you're not the best person to ask because you weren't playing Torture, but just any thoughts?
I think it's the wrong decision to not get Impale early. First of all, because we have 4 melees, and second of all, we had a push lineup. So they could have sacrificed their towers, while Torture gotten at least one of ours in exchange. So I'm not quite sure. It's probably a personal preference.
Yeah. I mean, do you think some of it comes into play just going against Meraxes in the mid lane? I mean, Meraxes can kind of slow him indefinitely and drop the stuns, so chances are Torture is not going to be able to keep Impalement up and make it effective in lane, so he just figures, I might as well go super harass mode to try and deal with Meraxes. I mean, that was really the only way that I could reason it logically. I
guess that was his reason to do it like that, yeah.
I see. Just interesting. One of those things that we noticed during the cast that I was curious about, and it's kind of irrelevant now as he's level 12, but just wanted to get your comment. So one thing we haven't talked about at all yet is really item choices. So with a lineup like this, again, with a very tank-intensive build, what are you guys thinking in the way of items? I mean, is everyone just going super tanky? Are you going to have one of your strengths going to go a little bit more of a carry style just in case the game drags on? I mean, are you considering someone picking up more of a DPS-centric build, or is everyone just going kind of that classic tank style?
We were going for the classic tank style because I told him to. I was pretty sure we had the game if we just tanked up and pushed the towers and get rags early. But if there would have been, I don't know, let's say, I would have seen the chance that they could outcarry us and win the game, I would have definitely said that, I guess, Cthulhu or Meraxes go for like Hellflower or Sheepstick, kinda-ish, to deal some damage and disables.
I see. So, but definitely not early on. You guys are going to just try and win this straight up by tanking, I guess, is
exactly
the goal. And since you're playing Armadon here, I guess this is an okay time to ask you, what are your thoughts about Maca Brilliance on Armadon? Are you pro, con, or just situational?
Mostly against, but it's situational.
I mean, is this a game where, again, if this game went on for 50 minutes or so, is that an item choice you would have considered, or not so good against this team?
Myself, I don't like it, so I wouldn't have picked it up in any situation.
I see. Well, okay, so all right, we'll rephrase. Is there viability in this situation given their lineup? I guess it's hard to say because this game doesn't go on that long, so it's hard to say depending on what items they go. So I guess it's kind of a silly loaded question, so we'll go ahead and just move on. But Meraxes picked up his portal key, so we talked about why Meraxes is such a great initiator, but one of the problems is he requires that portal key. So if he didn't start with all that early fire, we saw him pick up that hat trick in that mid lane to really start things off. He's now 6-1, 330 GPM. If he wasn't able to get a portal key as quickly as he did, do you think you guys would still be in a pretty good position? I mean, how pivotal is having that key initiator to the success of your lineup?
We don't necessarily need an initiator, because I can just charge into them with Armadon and slow them, and have Cthulhu behind me and charge onto them. But the portal key just gives us that much more opportunities to get an initiation going on them.
I
So it obviously helps, but it's not 100% needed.
Yeah, I see. And I mean, you know, to your credit right here, that's exactly what happens. He jumps in and catches Forsaken Archer to start off this fight. And if I'm not mistaken here, at least by the way things are going, it looks like you guys pretty much steamroll this fight. Might get 3 kills. It looks like you're going to pick up a kill on the Monarch, and Torture as well as Glacius will survive. But again, right there, you know, by no means was that portal key required for Meraxes to be able to do what he did, but well, to do it exactly as he did, but certainly did ease the initiation for that fight and allowed the rest of you to segue very nicely. So talk to me about the decision making here to go, instead of just taking the free Kongor kill, going straight for the base. Was this a no-brainer decision, or was there some debate amongst the team whether this was the right choice or not?
No, as I saw that we won the team, like we were winning the team fight, like in the middle of the team fight, I said we go for base push after this one. Because the main goal with this lineup is to get early racks to try and not drag the game into late game.
I see. So definitely that just fits straight into your strategy, and of course you guys do take out racks fairly easily here. I believe there's a little overcommitment. It looks like a Thulafint is going to bite the bullet, so unfortunately you will sacrifice your Elephant in exchange for the melee racks, but I'd call it a cost-effective exchange for sure.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So again, you know, just every step of the way, keep us informed here. I mean, what are you guys thinking now? Is this, now that you have one lane of racks down in a pretty timely manner, about 28 minutes into the game, are you guys feeling like, all right, at this point, it's an easy win? Have you already been feeling like that, or are you still a little bit nervous that they might be able to turn this around?
I guess a little bit nervous, but we were quite sure that we had the game.
And is that just because you're so far ahead at this point? Or, I mean, you mentioned earlier the Whispering Helm on Forsaken Archer and gave you that added level of confidence early on. So I guess you've sort of been feeling that way for at least some time now. You see Keeper of the Forest down here.
Yeah.
You know, is going to kind of get engaged on. And you guys are actually going to have a little bit of a sloppy team fight here. You're going to open by handing over 2 kills, though you guys come in and kind of turn it around. We'll see Monarch get taken out. Torture is dangerously low. Forsaken Archer going to drop the ultimate, but I guess you could say it wasn't super effective. We're going to see Kraken get taken down as well. So, you know, Plague Rider gets taken out for, and Keeper of the Forest gets kind of taken out solo, but then you tanky heroes here come in and just clean it on up, and the concede comes out. So the game ends kind of abruptly on that team fight, which is interesting because in that last team fight, you guys had they had the better of the exchange. They started off by picking up your Plague Rider, then they got your Keeper of the Forest, and you guys still steamrolled them with just 3 strength heroes. So I think, you know, I saw some people speaking in chat saying, you know, this game isn't really about strength meta as much as this Legion team just failing. And maybe that's true to some degree, but I think that last engage really speaks to that, because it was 3 strength heroes versus the whole lineup of the Legion team, and you guys pretty much won, less the Legion team having some mana. So talk to me about that last engage a little bit. Is it just because you guys were so farmed, or does it speak to the power of the strength meta?
A bit of both. Because then again, you have the counter to an AoE lineup, which is where they had Kraken, Torture, and Forsaken Archer. When you have tanky heroes like Armadon, Keeper, and Cthulhu, as you saw me pick up the Barbed Armor in the last couple of minutes in the game, I could just sit in the Kraken ulti, in the Torture AoE, and in the Forsaken ulti, and just use my Barbed Armor and deal more damage to them than they deal to me, pretty much. So that's also a huge counter to heroes like Forsaken Archer. Like, you just use the Barbed Armor instant inside of the ulti.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, yeah, you said you had just picked up that Barbed Armor, as well as Keeper of the Forest picking up that Barbed Armor as well.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of on a final note in that game. You guys are up by 14,000 gold, 11,000 experience. What could that Legion team have done towards the end of the game? I mean, as far as item choices, you know, do you see any huge mistakes other than that Whispering Helm on Forsaken Archer, which we already talked about? Are there any other items that would have really scared you guys that they could have picked up in that amount of time?
I need to check the replay real quick to see what kind of items they actually had.
Well, they actually don't have a hell of a lot. They have a push stick, they have a Soul's Bulwark on Kraken, and they have an Astrolabe on Glacius, and the Forsaken Archer, of course, with the Geometer's Bane and Whispering Helm.
Item pickups, let's see. I think the Torture, instead of trying to get the push book, he could have tried and rushed for the Shrunken Head instead. Because if he was in there dishing out AoE damage, I think they would have had more chance to win.
Yeah,
And then perhaps a Barrier Idol on Kraken to negate the magic damage we had.
And that was definitely one of the things that we talked about as far as like Torture are going to have to play a really strong role in this game because you guys don't have much magic damage mitigation as much as physical damage mitigation. So Torture has that opportunity to really take more of a carry role in that the particular game. Obviously, that wasn't the case, though. I forget what was on the line exactly for that tournament, but regardless, obviously you guys...
Some 1,000 gold coins, I think.
Yeah, so obviously you guys did win, so congratulations on that, certainly. But so now that we've seen this game, you know, a 4-strength Plague Rider lineup, we talked about all the synergistic qualities that team had. Beyond that of just being 4-strength, just, you know, the armor, the escape mechanism from Keeper, the initiation from Raxus, all those great things that made it a great lineup are there. But do you think this really speaks to how actually powerful strength heroes are? I mean, the Legion team, they didn't really have a horrible lineup. You know, they didn't try something crazy. They had all heroes that are picked or banned pretty frequently. You know, a fairly standard lineup, I would call it. So, I mean, what are your just overall reflections of this game, I guess? Any takeaways for maybe some of the 1,600 players hoping to learn a thing or two from the mighty Khezu?
Yeah, I guess it kind of speaks for the strength of strength heroes, pretty much. Seeing as they can just roll over a lineup which is pretty good and consists of 5 pretty strong heroes. But as I said myself, I don't know the exact counter to it. So, I don't know.
I still want to see a Harkins Blade, man. I think there is some serious potential lying in there somewhere. Maybe, you know, a Luna with a Harkins Blade Hellflower, that sounds pretty freaking scary against the lineup you guys are rocking right here. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's gonna wreck through the carries. I mean, through the tanks we had.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, maybe even I see some people talking, I can't keep up with people seem really into this sort of theory crafting, though. Of course, we talked about Soul Reaper being a potential kind of counter, at least just a good against strength heroes in general, between the Aura and that ultimate, especially in the later stage. When we see a Kraken with like 4k HP, Soul Reaper really is looking pretty damn good at that point. You may even see a Staff of the Master pick up, you know, at that point on Soul Reaper. What if this Legion team had tried to pick up a couple of Hellflowers? Do you think maybe a Hellflower or two would have been at least semi-effective against you guys? Keep in mind, you guys as well, Hellflower does counter Armadon quite nicely. It does take off that Armadillo buff, if I do believe, while he's under the effects of silence. Any thoughts about Hellflower against this lineup?
Would definitely help a lot, especially if you could get it off on the Plague Rider before he gets his ulti off, or on the Keeper. Same, if he doesn't get his ulti off. Then it's not that big of an AoE and teamfight team. Because then you kind of do like the big initiation from the Keeper ulti, or the huge AoE slow and damage from the Plague Rider.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. And one of the other things I see people talking about as well, maybe just even massive armor reduction. I mean, what if there was a Pestilence on the other, maybe, you know, a Pestilence on the other team mixed with a Deadwood for that Rotten Grasp, maybe some of the other minus armor abilities, of course the Aurora on Andromeda. Would that have been, I mean, despite you guys having that much plus armor, at that point, maybe there's enough negative armor there for it to really have an effect? Potential counter, maybe? Pestilence?
I think Pestilence is also an underrated hero who would fit pretty good, I think, if you just get the laning phase going with him. Yeah. And also Andromeda.
Definitely.
I'm a huge fan of the hero.
Definitely, yeah. I would totally agree. 2 heroes that I think in our current meta are definitely underrated. Definitely not picked up enough. You know, I've recently even seen Pestilence a little bit more. So maybe we'll start to see Pestilence a bit. And again, one of the things we talked about in the banning phase, Slither was banned. Which may or may not have sort of been a good thing for you guys, since he serves as at least a potential counter to your lineup. But you talked about Slither a little bit. You know, that toxicity, is it worthwhile? I mean, if you're, you know, say there's a drafter and you see 3 or 4 strength heroes on a team, is Slither a worthy wildcard pickup to try and deal with that, or not so much?
In a sense it is, yeah. But then again, you have to figure, the one thing he does is he reduces the health regen. But then again, 80% of his damage is magic, and most of the tank heroes will always get at least Vestments, if not Barrier Idol, or even the Shaman's Headdress. So it's kind of situational.
Definitely. definitely. And of course, he has no escape mechanism, so he can.
Yeah.
He's a slippery slope. If he gets a good start, he can really be strong. But I mean, we've seen games even recently where a Slither gets a slow start and he's just never really able to recover because he's so squishy. So that's a scary thing as well. Do you have any other comments you want to make relevant to the game or not? Meta game, just Han in general. Anything itching your insides that you want to just expose to the world to?
For sure, what the Legion team should have done is exchange towers, have Forsaken farm, and just leave the towers and dodge team fights. To the point where they can win a team fight where we push base, because we are the ones which have to push it. And it's like a better team fight position for them, in their own base, of course. So maybe if they'd done that, they would have had a chance to win. I'm not sure. Can't really say it now from this perspective. And then I think Morax is gonna... Yeah, I think he's gonna rush onto the competitive scene. Because he is so good as well versus the tanky heroes because of his access. Since they deal percentage damage of the max HP pool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I totally agree. I think we're going to see a lot more Moraxes coming up soon. I mean, I can't see a whole lot of real drawbacks to him. Overall, as far as an initiator... I mean, he kind of needs. He doesn't. We talked about not necessarily needing the portal key, but portal key does help play that initiator role. But he's just so damn tanky, that stacking. So everything about all of his abilities are just a little bit scary in their own right. So I definitely agree with you. Khezu, it's been an absolute pleasure, though. Do you have any shout-outs for us at all before we kind of wrap it up here for breakdown number 10?
Shout out to my sponsors, shout out to BlakeFate.org, shout out to my girlfriend and Insania.
Oh, that is so sweet. Shout out to Insania and your girlfriend. That is so sensitive, Khezu.
No problem.
No problem at all. So it's been a pleasure as always, guys. Kind of a short breakdown today, but like I said, I've been trying to bring guests on more when possible. So breakdown on Sunday may or may not happen per usual. That's sort of the tentative schedule, but we'll see. Shit's been coming up, so who knows. One thing to note as well, the It's Goes tournament coming up starting tomorrow, the first Open in March. And the following week, the next Thursday and Sunday, I will not be here. Be it spring break, and we will be actually doing a little field trip up to the S2 headquarters. So the It's Goes staff will be heading up there. So I will not be here to break down. How unfortunate, but I will be up at the S2 headquarters, so pretty damn cool, pretty excited. So it's been a pleasure, guys. As always, follow the social media, facebook.com/ZyoriTV, twitter.com/ZyoriTV, and www.ZyoriTV, where this VOD will be cataloged, and you can find out more information about the breakdown and everything else we do here in the wide world, Heroes of New Earth. Again, Khezu, I really appreciate it. Glad you could make some time for us and shed a little bit of insight. I know I learned a little bit. Hopefully, at least a couple people out there learned a little bit about, the average match in the eyes of Khezu.
Yep, hope so too.
Very cool. So take care, guys. We are going to send you out with some tunes here. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll catch you on another breakdown.